introduction, and then we'll. All right, we are connected. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Howdy there, Daylight Burners. Welcome back to the Bull Session. This is kind of our weekly deal here, George. It's a little different cast every week, little different topics every week. Same shit show though. So if you got a drink, cheers, and if you don't, probably get a drink. And welcome to the show, Mr. Sam McHugh. Y'all know him well, and you know George well enough by now, but you know what he represents even more because I say it every podcast since October. So, George, why don't you tell us about that little baby of yours, a little place called Loma Livestock?
Well, heck yeah. Thanks for having me back on, McKinley. And Loma Livestock's been good going. It's been a wild time to get everything figured out, but it's been fun. And I appreciate all your support down here on your show here on the podcast because it's helped a lot and people get around. This show gets around, but the barn's been good. I mean, lately we've been slow. You know, everybody's kind of held up, but Jan and Feb were good. And now we're just kind of doing some bull sales but getting stuff lined out, man. It's been pretty fun. It's been hectic.
Hell yeah.
Times, but fun. These last few weeks have been really exciting.
I can imagine. And if anybody that's not, I mean, we've got a few people that aren't in the cattle business or are not around it much, but we touch on it quite a bit. But the cattle markets have been just god awful. There's no way around it. They've been terrible. Just kind of like every other market that you might encounter here lately. The COVID has got everybody, and it sucks.
Zoom.
So except
Clorox.
Zoom.
Yeah.
And Georgia Pacific. It's wild. But I guess, Sam, I don't know if I had told you about this, but I've been kicking around the idea. My wife has been kind of pushing this idea pretty heavy, and I've agreed with her the whole time because that's what you do when you're married. But she did have a very valid point. But we're gonna do a weekly market report, burning daylight style. I'm not up to date on the markets. I'm not in the market all day every day like old George is here. But I've had plenty of requests to do a lot of the market stuff, and it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that deal being near and dear to me, like it is the cattle business. I don't want to lead anybody astray because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about most of the time. But most of the stuff I talk about and don't know what the hell I'm talking about doesn't affect that many people because I hope they're not really taking me seriously. So in the meantime, we got George, who is in the market all the time, owns a sale barn, and we're going to do a weekly burning daylight market report. Sponsored, of course, by Loma Livestock.
I look forward to this, man. This will be good. This will be fun.
I think so.
Add a new spin to it.
Well, I was just talking to my wife about that. I said, anybody can do a market report. I mean, I could do one, just physically read what the market is. But this way, you can tell me what Loma did. You can tell me what the board's doing. And then I can ask you questions and maybe learn a little bit about it in the meantime. And if we go off on a tangent, so be it. That's what we do here.
That's what weathermen do. They sit there and read it off their phone anyhow, right?
Pretty well.
Yeah, exactly, dude. 60% chance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You can never go wrong with 60% chance because it gives you a little hope that something might happen. And if it doesn't, you're like, well, it was only 60% chance.
Clouds change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was only 60.
Yeah.
You took the risk on a 60%.
But if it's only 50-50, you know, like, well, that's a cop-out answer, man, because
it is.
Hell, I could be a weatherman saying it's 50-50. But if you go 60-40, man, you're going down on the limb, but it's not that big of a deal if you're wrong.
Exactly. That 60% that's the number.
Only time they do the 100 is when it's already effing raining.
Pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like,
Who was the AM radio? Don Day. This has been Day Miller. Don Day. Yeah, I remember one time he did the weather report on KLMR 920, the giant of the high plains. And he said there is 10% chance of rain throughout the rest of the week. It's going to be a dry one, folks. And then as soon as he gets done, Ty Harmon, the voice of the giant of the high plains, says, well, that was your official weather report. The unofficial weather report is it's rained a quarter inch in the last half hour. So good job, Don Day. Well, George, what is, I guess let's get down to the technical part. Since you're on your first bull session, we're doing our first market report. Just what does the market look like? I mean, besides god awful, we know that, but let's get into some semantics and details, and let's pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, man. Well, let's just start with the futures market, really, which is the one that's been running scared, really, and like the cash market, really, we got a basis right now that's like plus, I would say 20 on average the last 3 weeks. And the basis, the April futures are $20 below what the cash has actually been trading. In a lot of ways, that's been adding some profit to, well, mostly the corporates who are 100% hedgers.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody that has been hedged, they've been all right. The thing, it just added so much volatility to it, and the cash is trying to stay stable. A lot of people screaming at the futures right now, no doubt. But the futures can't keep from getting scared. I mean, today we closed into new lows and new time and new highs and volatility on some of these options. So it just doesn't look good into the morning. But in some ways, McKinley, like this thing is bad, and the markets are made up of people, and people are, get scared, and that's a scared psychology running the market. I think if people still had flip phones, especially ranchers,
I bet
you might see a different psychology, because when they can check it every 15 minutes or every minute, it starts, and that's not only ranchers, but feedlot guys everywhere. It's a mental deal, total beat down. It's got everybody now stuck in the mud, when really the cash prices are a lot better than these future prices kind of say. So like, this is where I kind of see, or I make a pitch for Loma Livestock or for auction barns in general. These are the markets where you can, these are markets where you want to take them to a barn to find a market, because it's wild everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. And it always goes back to the age-old fight in the cattle business. It's the producer versus the packer, and the packers are making a lot of money right now. And I think you're starting to see more and more that people are really they're really starting to wake up that there is something weird going on, and I still don't know what the good solution is to like breaking the control that the packing industry has on the market. But I know Corbett Wall has been pushing this mandatory 30% negotiated cash settlement on the live cattle, in order to, which the live, or the cash basis, or the cash price sets I guess it's the benchmark for all the formula sales, and it seems like a good idea. I'm skeptical when you mandate something, especially coming from the federal government. I honestly don't know what the solution is going forward, but I think it's going to have to come from the market side rather than the legislative. Otherwise, the government can fuck up a wet dream. So I don't have any faith in them to carry through with any of that.
Well, like you said, what's going to happen is Like what he's saying is right. We need more cash negotiated trade. People need to start copping out into the formula, or we're going to end up like hogs, and that's not where we want to be. Like you say, mandatory. The mandatory part is that's a little hard for me. Like you said, it's hard to make anything mandatory and have me like it. But I mean, I'm a cash trade guy through and through. On the live cattle side, on the fat side of the feedlot, and here, of course, in the auction barn finding it. I think that's a very good point. And I think it's going to bring it back to, we're going to have to bring ourselves back to it, because we're going to have to trade our way out of big losses here. And that's through the cash trade and being kind of stable in your footing and hoping more people will cash trade, because a lot of these formulas have turned down. So I don't disagree with that. But the one thing I also think that we might be able to loosen the grips from the big 3 or 4 packers is beef demand is good. Like these regional packers are really picking up, and I'm starting to fill a lot more orders for these, not even say regional, but I'm saying local guys.
Yeah.
We have, and I mean, I'm killing 40 steers at a local next week, and that hasn't happened in years. So it's like, I mean, if I could bring those local guys back in, the money at the local market is so much better. And then you're so much more independent, even from national, not only global, but national supply shortages. I think that's coming back. I mean, it's coming with some pain. That's what sucks, but
yeah,
it's coming. And we got 12 months of kind of trying to keep your capital together here, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I've been kind of pushing this, fairly hard, is going the direct to consumer route. There's a big demand for that nowadays, because the millennial makes up the majority of the market now, and a lot of millennials, they may pay a little bit more to know where the beef is coming from. And if you can hang on, take the risk to feed out your cattle yourself, a lot of times you can have that animal sold before you ever take them to get knocked. And now you're getting box beef prices instead of 70-cent live cattle prices.
And that's really where it's at. Like right now, I started doing that on ground beef. There's just such a big demand for ground. Where I think these Wagyu crosses, a lot of those other things, Wagyu as a whole, and any kind of prime is going to have troubles as we go forward. I mean, the middles are going to have troubles, but that ground beef is going to keep the whole thing together. And then, but I wanted to say, so I've been selling more ground beef than I thought, but I want to take some fats, get some more sold, and take some this August, and sell them more locally in the beef, like you're talking. Starting to work on that right now. I think it's a good opportunity to take it into our own hands and try to survive. And you have to when your back's up against a wall. This is where we might see some solutions just from the, the individual.
Yeah, I think you're right. I like I said though, and I think from what I'm picking up, you're kind of in agreement with me here. But it's going to have to come from the market side of things.
Yes,
like the actual free market. The demand is there for beef. There's no doubt about it. I mean, everybody who's bitching about the Packers can tell that the demand is there. I mean, when they're making, they were clearing like $600 a head, just last week or something like that. The demand ain't slowed down any. But it's not reflecting what the cow calf guy is getting. And I think a lot of folks, and especially ranching's, it's a pretty aging industry. They're just stuck in their way, whether you call your buyer, you take them to the sale barn or whatever, and that's the end of it. But you may have to hold on a little bit longer and do a little something extra to reap the reward or get the true price of that live animal. And
exactly, it comes with more risk.
A lot of people, we've got to this point where we just nerf the edges of everything, so nobody ever really gets hurt, but nobody ever really prospers either because there's no risk involved. So I think the long-term solution is you're gonna have to step out a little bit and take some risk but I think the reward is there if you can stick it out.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what you just said right there, sticking out, that's what we're gonna have. That's the biggest thing. Who can stick out?
Yeah. Well, and that's.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I was trying.
You're good. That's the thing is, the Packers have a lot of control right now, but that's because the feeders and the producers allow it. Instead of giving the middle finger and saying "fuck you," no, my cattle are worth more than that. It's you take the check and then you bitch about it. You post on Facebook, and I don't fault anybody for having to do what they got to do, but if you just keep taking what's given to you, that's, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you're always gonna get. So, without a little risk, you're not gonna get anywhere. So I don't know. I think we're kind of on the same page there. How I see the market going, whether it happens or not, we'll see. But I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this this weekly market report, though. I think we got something good here.
Me too, man. And you know, one thing I'll just add to before we want to move on is these markets are crazy, and I'm adding one thing I'm gonna add to the sale barn deal, and I've added it is I'm gonna finish my series 3 to become a licensed broker. But I'm going to go on with the brokerage, and I'm going to have a commodity brokerage right there at the sale barn, kind of based out. So helping customers based in cattle hedging, you know what I mean? Because these markets are up and down a lot, and kind of focusing on options and kind of without getting too confusing, delta hedging. But I think there's a big opportunity. Like, look, with this base is so wide, there's a big opportunity in risk management as well, you know, going forward, because, you know, opportunities to price in a profit and taking it, and then being able to make through these times already priced in your profit, you know. So I do think, like the cow calf guy, that's, if there's one thing to change or add to, I wouldn't even say change, he could add a risk management plan through options, and like come through, talk to me, get some education. Not saying I know it all, but I know the cash market around and the futures market decent, and then be able to mitigate some risk without forward contracting too. And I'm also going to start a video deal. So like every other week, I'll sell feeders on video, and like my May 15th sale, I'll have pairs video and there. So we'll bring a showing of pairs there, sell like 40 of them there, maybe 80 of them back home at the ranch. So doing some different things like that to try to just give more timing to the producer when he wants to sell and how.
Hell yeah, I like it. Using the technology to your advantage, you know, that's a big thing when you can still sell at Loma Livestock and not have to pay freight on them till later. You know, that's a good deal. I think
that's what we're working on, man.
I think you're onto something there, George, and you just keep me in the loop, and we'll make sure and share stuff on all the social media sites, and you know, we'll take over this whole deal.
Absolutely. I shared my market report just with me. I need to figure out how to share it with you so you can share it to your daylight listeners. I do a weekly cash report just out of Loma Livestock. So I'll have it make sure so you can do that, because this is going to be cool. I'm glad you're going to have me on every week. This would be badass.
Hell yeah, man. It'd be good. So that's I guess what's your projections going forward? Where do you see us heading before? And you know, we'll end the little market report on that, and then we'll get into some other stuff. But what do you think we got headed going forward from here?
This is what I think going forward. I'm gonna say like the next 3 weeks, these light calves probably stay pretty good demand. Pairs are in high demand just because the grass is good. And any kind of bred cow you can still find. Now these high-end feeder, these high-weight feeders, 90 to 1,000, 800 to, well, say 900 to 1,000 pounds. I mean, 95 cents is probably the bid on them to $1.02 right now. And it looks like we could drift a little weaker because they're having some backup on some of this meat. Looking through, there's more people optimistic for the fall. This is what I'm saying. We're going to have some relief rallies. We're going to have some stimulus rallies. I think we look at to price cattle into any meaningful rally going for the year, you know? So I don't think it's, you know, we can still have a $20 rally in us, but I think we get ready to price and kind of lay off some risk if we can make some money. Our expenses are going to be lower as far as fuel and a lot of other things. So if we can get a little rally, we take advantage. Don't ask the moon for the market, but take advantage of a good rally market, kind of have a number set in your head. Don't be cemented into it. Need to be flexible, and kind of when you're getting ready to market and it's getting close, be ready to pull the trigger and be happy with what you got, even if the market goes higher from that point. And so I think we'll have the opportunities, but it's going to be up and down and volatile. I think maybe for the next 4 to 6 months till we kind of get this shit figured out.
Yeah, it's so I guess put it in layman's terms, cinch up your belt.
Sorry. In layman's terms, cinch up your belt. Yeah.
Yeah. Get ready, take what you can get, eat some beans if you have to, but it's going to be all right.
Sunny days are coming. It's going to be all right. Just got to grind.
Perfect. Well, speaking of sunny days, I know on a good sunny day, one of my favorite songs to listen to is John Deere Green. Rest in peace, Joe Diffie. Rest in peace, Joe Diffie.
Sad. That's been the hardest thing from COVID-19 so far for me.
I know it. I was a little bummed about Tom Hanks getting it, but it looks like he's doing okay. But then Joe Diffie was just out of nowhere. And
out of nowhere.
Yeah, he was supposed to play the Kansas State Fair this year, and that's the most Joe Diffie thing of all time is playing the Kansas State Fair.
You know what my favorite thing about state fairs is, and I'm 90% certain this is Joe Diffie's favorite thing about state fairs too. For $20, you can get a pound of deep fried cheese curds. Like, we went to the North Dakota State Fair last year. I got 4 different kinds of cheese curds in one bucket for $20. I looked at my wife and I says, "Hey, can I go get some cheese curds?" She hands me a $20 bill, and I came back with a bucket of cheese curds. She says, "Where's the change?" And I said, "I'm sorry, you didn't understand what I was doing." I'm getting $20 worth of cheese curds.
You can never have too many cheese curds.
Damn straight. And pretty sure that's why Joe Diffie plays the Midwest.
I think probably so.
Played.
So I think we can all agree, that Joe Diffie was just a fucking legend of a human being. Like, me and Sam were talking about this the other night. We tried to do this Joe Diffie. Well, we did this Joe Diffie tribute show, but then my computer crashed and I lost all the audio. But we were talking about it is like back in the early 90s or late 80s, early 90s when he hit the scene. It was right there with like Travis Tritt and Billy Ray Cyrus. Travis Tritt's a legend in his own right. Like, great. I love Travis Tritt. He's the opposite end of the white trash spectrum of Joe Diffie.
I said this the other night too about Travis Tritt and Joe Diffie. I mean, I feel like for a while they were kind of like in tandem, in their careers. And then Travis Tritt's over here, and he's like, he watched Eddie Murphy Raw, and he just went over here and started wearing leather suits with deep V's.
Yeah, and so the analogy we came up with is like if you go to a white trash dive bar in say Syracuse, Kansas, or Craig, Colorado, or Livingston, Montana, depending on where you're at.
Careful. That's home.
And you show up there and Joe Diffie and Travis Tritt are drinking at the bar. They're probably both going to buy you a beer. At the end of the night, Travis Tritt's probably going to try to stab you. Joe Diffie would have watched it all go down, but he would have drove you to the hospital drinking beer the whole time. Probably Busch Light.
Oh, the guarantee on the Busch Light, maybe Natty Light. Maybe Natty Light.
You're probably right. He was more south, so they got to drink a lighter beer. It's too humid down in Oklahoma for for the Busch. You got to go Natty.
It could be Natty.
Have you seen Travis Tritt's wife? Any of you guys follow him on Twitter or anything?
No.
I tell you one thing. That's the only thing he's gonna be stabbing. She is. Whoo! And then the other day he posted a picture of his daughter, and I went, "Oh Lord!"
I did see a picture of his daughter.
Yeah, like, can we talk about that?
She is a smoke show.
What I was gonna say is Travis Tritt might steal your wife in that scenario.
True.
At the dive bar.
And he's not above stabbing you to get her either.
There you go. See, I don't know. I think all of them work.
Well, and like we were talking is like Billy Ray Cyrus has always just been like a manufactured person. Like
he's
like everything has been run through like test groups and trial runs and focus groups. That's the word I'm looking for. Focus groups. But like Joe Diffie, when he made it big, he rolled into the studio office and showed him his demo, and they're like, we like your music, it's got a good sound, but we're loving this look you got right here. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? What look? that mullet's all real, baby. That is all Joe Diffie.
His producer's like, Joe, don't fuck this up for me.
Yeah. He's still. His songs were the best. They're the ones that you just turn up every time and just, you know what I mean? Like you said, John Deere Green. He's the best out of those three by far, head and shoulder. Like not even the same league as Billy Ray.
Well, like Billy Ray's, he can't hold a candle. Travis Tritt he's a different cat. He's on a different level, equally enjoyable, but for different reasons.
I do love me some Travis Tritt. I will tell
Country Club.
Yeah.
Trouble. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I added that song into my set list, and we were playing that in the band months back, and that's a tough frickin' song too. I mean, the bass line in that song. If you can find a bass player that can keep up with that song, keep them, pay them whatever they want. It's a tough ass song.
It's hard.
Yeah, it just walks the whole time, man, and it's fast. No, that's a good song. Gets people dancing too.
It does, man, and that's a great era. And I still remember that was the era of music we still listened to in the bars, like in 04, 05, like College Rodeo and like all the good old bars and stuff. Though that was just a good era of music right there.
Oh yeah.
It was the best. And so like me and Sam did an album review of I should have told Dave, but you were busy, you didn't have time. But we reviewed the Essential Joe Diffie. And
okay.
I described it as just like it's a one-stop shop for prime 90s country gold. Like anything you could ever want out of 90s country is on the Essential Joe Diffie. You've got like the quirky kind of like parody type songs like Third Rock from the Sun or John Deere Green. You've got the power ballads. You got a duet with who did we say it was?
It was Mary Chapin Carpenter.
Mary Chapin Carpenter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was good.
Yeah. And then you had some like hard driving, like honky tonk attitude, which Joe Diffie wrote. And it was just, that I think that kind of just summed him up as a person. And as country music did what it did, it kind of left him in the dust. Joe Diffie didn't change a damn bit. He was just still solid 90s country gold.
I do have some beef with that album though. I think they could have replaced a few different songs, on there. And here's what I would have done. I would have replaced Not Too Much to Ask with New Way to Light Up an Old Flame.
Oh, for sure. No doubt.
Right?
Oh, my God.
That's the freaking song I want to hear on the essential Joe Diffie, right?
Yeah.
So when that song starts out, that's the best ever. I mean, I can't believe it's not on there.
Oh,
what an observation.
Yeah. I know. And let's see. Honky Tonk Attitude's on there. If You Want Me To, my very favorite song of Joe Diffie's. And then My Give a Damn's Busted isn't on there.
Yep. I know. What the hell?
Yeah. So, I mean, small grievances with the essential Joe Diffie.
Yeah. I mean, it
I don't
was
think
a
I'd
good. Yeah. It's a good album, but yeah, they missed the mark in a few spots. But when you got that many.
Joe Diffie, Bigger Than the Beatles is a great song.
Oh, man.
Great
song.
We gotta love.
I forgot all about
right
that song. I forgot all about that song, and I put that album on repeat the other day when I was riding pins so we could do this album review, and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot about Bigger Than the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that was on repeat about 4 times in a row.
Oh, yeah. And you were like kind of almost dancing in the saddle, and just made your day so good for those few minutes.
Oh hell yeah!
Kind of gave him a rash though.
Yeah,
a little bit of a rash. I chalked that up to the Corona. I got the Rona.
I Sharona.
All right, so this one here I'm gonna share with you guys. This is what I was talking about, George.
Now careful. What happens when you share your screen? Your computer crashes.
That's true.
Yeah.
So if you can read that for us, George, since you're the chief sponsor of Burning Daylight, we get an accurate representation of what we got going on here.
You want me to do the Twitter?
Yeah.
Like R.I.P. Joe back in '87. He and I had a one-night stand. The cowboy was very well hung. Unfortunately, he never called me back. Having gained another 10 inches.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who couldn't make it through that without laughing.
I had heard that on another podcast, and I was like, no way. No fucking way.
Can I propose a toast to the 10-inch troubadour? Joe
the
Diffie
10-inch troubadour. So we were talking before we went live here, and I stand by this 100%. Because I looked at that and I was like, no way. And then I looked at the chick's Twitter handle, and it was like Heather with like 9 digits behind it. So probably a bot. I don't give a shit. Joe Diffie was a legend, and I'm gonna fall susceptible to confirmation bias, because when you have that awesome of a mullet and that cheesy of a mustache for as long as he did, you got to have a big old hog to rock that with just reckless abandon.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not betting against you on that. I mean, or Joe Diffie for that matter. You know what I mean?
Well, Heather Jimenez, she bet on him, and apparently she was very well pleased back in '87.
Yes. Hell, she went long Joe Diffie.
Oh, Big Dick Joe.
Hey, nothing flows better than that. Too bad we didn't get to see old Big Dick Joe in Kansas this year.
I know it. Damn it, Joe. Damn it, the Rona gotcha. Son of a bitch.
Oh, that's what made it real serious. That's what kind of hit home on the Rona for me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was kind of. It didn't hit too close until Joe Diffie.
Well, yeah, because like George, you're in the cattle business. You're considered an essential industry. I'm considered as an essential industry. Sam, you already work from home, so it was just like another Tuesday for you.
I essentially have to put pants on one day a week.
And so like life hadn't really changed that much. And then we get this fucking bombshell that country music legend.
And John Prine's in the hospital now too.
I saw that.
Oh my God. I love John Prine, dude. Damn it.
I mean, I actually haven't checked in on that in a couple of days, but he's still in the hospital. He's stable, but not improving.
I'm going to look it up.
So, yeah, it says he's critical condition, but he's stable, but not improving.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
It's serious.
Also,
this shit's killing people.
No, this shit's serious. No doubt about it. I mean, it is. From the 1st of February, think of how different our lives are right now, 1st of April.
Talking about, and like we made it through all 6 months of March.
Yeah, dude.
No
dude.
shit.
March was never gonna
And we didn't
end.
even, and we never even got to celebrate Patty's. That was the bad part.
I did. You know what I did? I went to Costco, got the big flat of Guinness, took it down into my basement speakeasy, and put on the Dropkick Murphys live stream, and got shitty like I was 19 again.
Fuck yeah.
Hey, see, that's what it's cool. It's bringing back old school. That's a little bit of what I like about this deal. Not that I like the virus, but I like the fact that it's like getting us back to our roots. Shit, you don't have to travel all around the world to have fun. You can go fucking listen to some Dropkick Murphy and to get hammered in your basement. It's a blast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, how many awesome dorm parties started with I either walked by your room or you walked by my room. It was usually you walked by my room because I was closer to the front of the hall. And we'd have ragweed or Boland or like AC/DC just bumping. And I remember George one time, he called me because I think he lived, 2 or 3 doors down from me? We'll go 3 doors down because
I think we were suite mates, dude. I'm pretty sure. Weren't you with like Robert Drost or something?
Yeah. And but George called me one time and he's like, "Hey dude, I need a bag, like a duffel bag." And I was like, "All right. Like where do you need it at?" Because George, you never know where the story's headed. He just said, "I need a duffel bag." So like I don't know if he
story, but that's still true.
I didn't know if he like clubbed a baby seal and needed to hide the body, or if it was like something weird for one of his romantic interests at the time. And he's like, "I'm in the parking lot. I'm in the parking lot." All right, so I go down there with a little duffel bag, and he's got a suitcase, 24-pack of Bud Heavy, which of course they only go 1 can deep. 4 cans wide, 4 by 1. And so the thing's like roughly 6 foot long. And the only way we could figure out how to fit it in this little duffel bag was to stand it on end, put a coat over it, and then pick it up by the 2 handles. And he said, "All right, we got it all covered up." And I said, "All right, I'll go up." And our RA, you open our hall, and the RA was on the right-hand side, first door. And I said, "All right, Jessica is tutoring one of the football players, so I will distract her. You make a run for it." So beeped ourselves in. "Hey, Jessica, how's it going?" Like covered up the whole doorway. George makes a run for it. And Jessica, she was this really... she kind of went wild when she turned 21, but like at the time she was still 19 or 20, and very kind of uptight, very proper Catholic girl. She actually never drank a sip of alcohol till she was 21, and but she was all innocent and stuff.
Approved.
And she was like, "Is that George? What's George doing?" And George is just booking it down the hallway with this duffel bag. I mean, just sloshing Bud Heavy everywhere. And he's like, "Hi, Jessica. Gotta shit. See you later." Just.
Just went with the old steady, the gotta shit. You know what I mean? Nobody's stopping you.
Nope.
When you say that.
Not a one.
And so he slams his door, texts me about 5 minutes later. He's like, "I can't drink all this beer on my own." So we go down there, proceed to drink all 24 of those beers and prop them up against the door next to us in the hallway.
Yeah.
Hot damn.
Oh yeah, that was old Josh Grotto. That was my roommate. He didn't know what the hell to do.
Oh, he was kind of an odd little fella.
He was a Mexican Jew. You know, that
He really was.
Crossing. Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yep. Yeah, he was a Mexi Jew is what we called him.
Yeah.
Ay caramba.
That was
Shalom.
back in 04, back in the days when you could still have fun, you know. They played Blazing Saddles in the drive-in.
Oh, fuck. We had a good time back in 04, 05. Fuck around.
Yeah. Dude, really. That whole time in that town. That was good times. And see, we came out of school in the heart of the recession, which is no different than now. Maybe not as bad. Or who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe not as good. The recession was kind of more fucked up because the banks were all down. But we were really in the heart of that coming out of school. And I mean, shit. So much different looking at it from the eyes now, 10 years later. Back then, it was like, I remember putting $300 in some some quarter stocks, making like 800, pulling 500 out, and getting drunk for my graduation weekend on that because everything was a shit show.
Oh, that's funny. I remember one time in the summer, it was a summer Sundance session. So Sam set the mood here. The Sundance saloon was kind of on the outskirts of Fort Collins, right up by the interstate. And it was really the only like country themed bar in Fort Collins. Tuesday night was college night. It was a $6 cover, 50-cent doubles, quarter wells, quarter draws till midnight.
Whoa, that's aggressive as hell.
And the doubles, the 50-cent doubles were so fucking terrible. You'd have to drink 3, just pound them because you could already feel the hangover, you know, especially if you only had one.
That's why you pick a liquor that's not going to do too much damage, even if it's shitty, like gin.
Yeah, there you go, dude. That's a good point. You don't do whiskey in that situation.
No, don't be a
hero.
hero.
I learned the hard way.
Don't be a cowboy.
Do not be a cowboy on that shit, dude. It's not
don't be a cowboy on 50-cent double night.
Yeah, dude, back off. I've been there right there and got bucked off pretty hard, drug around.
So they used early times bourbon, which comes to about 7.
I'm getting sick right now talking about. We might have.
You can buy a half gallon for the same price as I bought this bottle.
Oh yeah, easily.
Guaranteed. Maybe a whole barrel, dude. You can buy a swimming pool size.
A handle was about $7 or something like that. It was.
That is.
Well, you hold on now. Point of order.
It's making me gag
McKinley.
a little. It's making me gag.
McKinley lives in the land of cheap ass liquor, so for the rest of the country, it's about $12 a handle.
Yeah, it's Nevada is Nevada's a good time.
I got some friends that come up from Nevada, and every time they come up, they go to Costco first, and then hum eastbound and down, loaded up in trucking all the way to Montana.
Fuck yeah, man.
Dude, loaded hot, buddy. Gotta hustle.
A handle of Jameson in Nevada at Costco cost you $35
for a half a gallon.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. Bullet bourbon's 39, I think.
I know, like Beefeater's like 14.
Yeah, probably.
Dude, check the prices of Macallan Scotch next time you're in there.
Oh yeah, that's what my dad gets. He has his buddy bring him up some Macallan, and because he's a big Scotch guy. But, it's
really. I bet it's fucking great.
Well, usually what do they run? Like $45 for like a 12? For a 12-year?
Like a Macallan?
Yeah.
Shit, it's like 80 in Colorado.
God damn.
Fucking Californians. They ruin everything.
They're ruining my favorite states.
I got to preface. I got a big California audience, but they're the good Californians. You know, they're the good kind. You know what we mean. We mean L.A., San Francisco, that area.
Whoa.
Northern California is great. We know that.
Oh yeah, and I love it. It's probably my favorite place in the world. I've always wanted to go out there and put cattle out there. Something, you know.
Fuck! There's so much grass out there.
I want to be out there. I mean, God, like it's not. And the people are awesome. Literally, they're no different than us right now, or me in Colorado, just getting overtaken by the heavy freaking population in the city.
Yeah.
Nevada's the same way.
If I lived in California, I'd want to get the hell out too.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I don't blame people, but people in Idaho do not like Californians. If you're from out of state, they want to know where from. And I'm from Montana, so like we're cool. We're cool. We're neighbors.
That's the same way. Like if I say Colorado or Kansas, and everybody's like, "All right, so you're normal. You're normal."
Mm-hmm.
Nevada's the same way. But if you're from California, they'll say what part, because there's a lot of ranches that run in California and Nevada. So they'll say like we're from, and if you say some small town that nobody's ever heard of, they're like, "All right, you're cool." But anywhere else, there's like
anything that starts with like a loss or a san.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I'm telling you what, the logic is crazy in those people. That's what I love about this going on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's insane. But going back to the Sundance, I was going to tell this story.
Sorry, I derailed you.
No, it's all right. This is how we go.
Still sounds terrible. Sorry,
we're moving on to a better whiskey. So it was like a July Tuesday somewhere in there, and typical college town pretty well shuts down for the summer. There's a few diehards, and for me, I always stayed in Fort Collins over the summer because I got paid way better in Fort Collins than I did in Baca County because there wasn't shit in Baca County, and I didn't have to work near as hard in Fort Collins either. So, Sundance in the summer wasn't too bad. You still had the same special, but you didn't have near the crowd. Well, George was never around in the summer. Well, George was never around from like March on because that was rodeo season, and then into summer, and then he was just gone. But this one July or June or whenever it was, we were having a good old time at the scum dance, as we called it. And I go up to the bar, get ready to order, and who pops up but old George Rafto. And apparently he just won a big jackpot. And he's like, "Hey, you need a drink?" I said, "Yeah, what do we got?" And he said, "I'm buying tonight, but you can't tell me what you're getting." Okay. He said, "I'm buying. We're drinking what I'm drinking." Fine, whatever. I'm broke, so you buy.
Yeah.
Crown Royal and pineapple juice. Delectable nectar of the gods.
That sounds
so good. Oh, I got so fucking drunk. And I had to go. It was when I was poisoning prairie dogs for that guy out of Longmont. And the next day, I met him at the park and ride, and me and Brad Cook. And when we both just show up, just barely mobile at that point. and highly incapacitated. And Brett, my boss, goes, well, looks like you boys had a good time at the Sundance. Shut up, Brett. I just said, where are we going? He goes, Denver. And because we poison prairie dogs for a lot of developers, real estate developers. And so he said, Denver. I said, North or South Denver? He said, South Denver. I said, okay, good. I can sleep. So I just, I camped out in the back seat and slept all the way down there. Well, I woke up and we are at the foot of Cherry Creek Dam. And instead of poisoning prairie dogs like we normally did, we were poisoning voles, which the opening for the vole hole, if you say, is about yay big instead of about this big. Did you pay the vole toll to get into that? I paid the vole toll to get into the something's hole or whatever. Yeah, so instead of using the aluminum phosphide pellets that we normally use, we used Rosol poison grain. But we couldn't park on the highway up on the top of the dam. So we had to pack these 50-pound bags of poison grain all the way up the side of Cherry Creek Dam. So I threw a 50-pound bag on each shoulder, started hiking up there, and this stuff, it wasn't normal Rosol. It was like some really highly concentrated shit, pretty poisonous. So we had to wear the COVID-19 masks. What are they? The N95s or whatever. But we had to wear those. And by the time I got like a quarter of the way up, I'm just sweating Crown Royal out of every single pore. I can't breathe because of this mask over my face, and just it's like and my boss is just standing, like he just like jaunts up to the top, no problem, and he's just laughing at us the whole time. And I just I get up there and I just said, fuck you, Brett. Fuck you so hard right now. And that was the night George bought me roughly 52 Crown Royal and pineapples.
I mean, you want to talk about, they were doubles. Oh, fuck yeah. Just going all the way, man. I don't know if I drank pineapple since then.
They went down so good that night, though. God damn, it was good. Oh, man.
Well, you can just go with that. I mean, that was a fun. That place is one of the most fun places. I mean, now I think it's way different, but I'm just going to remember for what it was then.
Oh, yeah. If you give me a choice to go to a Sundance on a Tuesday or Disneyland, I'll take Sundance every damn time. I'll regret it every damn time, but I'll pick it.
100% of the time. I just can't believe how much different it has been since even 10 years ago.
Oh, I know it. It's wild. I guess it's been probably 4 or 5 years now, but I went up to when I was working for Cactus, they paid for us to go to the Cattlemen's College there up at Ardek, which is the research farm or the research ranch farm feedlot for CSU. And so they had this it was like a summer, it was like a weekly class, one night a week, every week for like a month or something like that. And I went up there for 2 of them, and I rode up with this Mexican fella that I worked with, and I was telling him, I was like, this is where I went to college, and it was a good time. And so I went to go show him the Ramskeller, which was the bar on campus. It was a beer-only bar, but still. George, how much time did you spend in the Ramskeller? Because I'm pretty sure I lived there.
We always went there before classes, especially the first day. But I did get cut off at the Ramskeller one time. Never had one drink because I'm just kind of loud like that anyways. Cut me off. I'm like, I haven't had a drink. She's like, you want me to call the sheriff? I'm like, yes, please. I haven't had a drink. And just act like this.
Yeah, I can recall you getting kicked out of several bars for being loud while sober.
I know, right? I mean, I just caught it, so I was I got a bullseye on it when I'm drunk, for sure.
Well, see, I thought it was just you that were loud, and then I went to Georgia Adradis's wedding, a full-on Greek wedding, and no, it's all Greeks apparently. All the Greeks are loud.
I bet that was a fun wedding. She's got like 3 little kids now.
I think so. Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah, it was a good time.
2. I don't know.
I don't know for sure. I can't keep up with everybody, but that was a fun wedding. I know that. That was the first time I was in a Greek Orthodox chapel, and that was not what I was expecting. There was dragons and shit painted on the dome. It was wild.
A lot of incense burning and chanting.
And yeah, and instead of in Latin, it was in Greek, and it was it was a little bit of a culture shock for a minute, but it was a good time. That was a fun wedding. I still got the ice bucket and little crimper deal from her wedding. When I feel fancy, I'll pour me some early times and put a couple ice cubes in there.
Do not talk about early times anymore.
That is a 100% lie. I've not drank early times since college. Fuck that.
Thank you. I kind of got that taste in my throat right now where it tastes like puke while you're drinking it. It's like, do they boil this in puke?
Oh, that first one tasted like straight gasoline because they did not hold back because they knew that they were serving shitty whiskey, so they were trying to get rid of it as fast as they could, and it was atrocious. But if you choke down the first one, your taste buds were basically fried, so you didn't know what you were drinking after that.
Yeah, you had to pound the first 1 or 2.
Yeah, for sure. Sam, you went to Montana State, right?
Yes, sir.
What was the go-to bar there? I'm sure George knows a little bit about Montana State.
When I was there, it was Mixers. Mixers was a kind of the local watering hole. I didn't hang out there a ton. I had too many X's in that bar. Just got dramatic. So I ended up going out to a little bar in Gallatin Gateway quite a bit called Stacy's. And any night of the week, you could get an 8-ounce prime rib and baked potato for $12. Any night of the week.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about.
Get that cut. I mean, 8 ounces is fine, Get a good rib steak and then dance and
perfect.
All night. And wells were $2.50.
That's the place I want.
Yeah,
to go right there.
And it's an old cowboy bar. I mean, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I want to be.
George was telling me here a while back. Your wife owns a wine bar, right?
George's does?
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Mine does. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead. Sorry.
You know what George orders when he goes to this wine bar?
Coors Light.
Coors Light. That is a power move if I've ever heard of one. That's awesome. I respect the fuck out of it.
That's awesome.
And it's not even, I like Coors Light that much. Like that's what people in breweries don't understand about me. When they don't have Coors Light, I'm not gonna get the beer. It's like, you don't like this beer? You like Coors Light? Piss. I'm like, I know you think that. I don't care. I just like it. I don't want to drink this other stuff.
That's okay because George, I guarantee you, while they're judging you, they're saying it with their pinky up in the air like this.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. Straight judgment. You're exactly right.
I had this argument with well, it was Nick and Aaron. George knows them, but some college buddy of ours, and there was
They're probably brew snobs, huh?
I think they were at the time, but
Okay.
there was a pretty
Sorry, Nick
pretty
and Aaron.
decent.
Aaron's probably going to be pissed at that comment, dude.
Oh, if he ever does listen, he will be so pissed he'll unfriend you immediately. But we there was a pretty decent circle of us, like going around going top 3 beers, and at the time I said number 1 Guinness, number 2 Coors Light, and number 3 Keystone. I was like, if we're going with like my go-to beers, they've shifted slightly since then. Instead of Guinness, Coors Light, and Keystone, it's Guinness, Coors Original, and Keystone. But
somebody's not counting calories.
Yeah.
I mean, not at all.
But I was like, if we're gonna be really honest about it, when I just need a beer, especially like after a hot day of work in the summer, Keystone Light goes down pretty fucking good, man.
You gotta hydrate.
No, you gotta keep it cold, dude, and it's awesome.
Yeah. As long as
super cold,
you gotta
and
hydrate.
them.
So Keystone's perfect for that.
And
I'm
I
so
just like,
looking forward to cold beers in the heat.
In college,
so good.
I think we played beer pong with Keystone a lot because it's cheap.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think I ever got a buzz, honestly.
You just didn't drink enough, because I got just schmammered off of Keystone many times.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, you
and me at the same elevation, and we'll talk.
Oh, that's a bad deal, because George can attest to this. It's not that I don't get drunk; is that I just keep going. That's the bad thing. I don't have.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, I don't.
No, he doesn't.
I'm incorrigible, so if I'm around it, I'll just keep going.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, and George is the same way. So like, any party at George's house, or if George is at my house, like, it got wild. Like, and it never started that way. Usually, it was just it always started like a couple dudes just bullshitting, cracking some beer, and then like
just a couple of dudes,
like
out.
13 hours later.
That's how I like my life to go. Just kind of like, not just a couple dudes, not that one.
Well, that's how I like my life. Just a couple dudes, nothing else.
Unplanned.
Just a couple of dudes.
I mean,
so, side question, George, how long have you owned a tiger sanctuary?
can you believe tigers are only 2,000 a piece?
That's what my cousin's been saying too. Like, how I could have been a Tiger King by now if I would have known that.
Well, I know what my stimulus check's going to.
Yeah,
freaking tiger, man. Tiger.
The first stimulus check is going to a tiger. If we get a second one, is going to guns. But
I don't own guns. They all
tiger
died.
First, guns.
All my guns died.
The tiger will hear them coming before my guns will. So.
I saw that one song from Joe Exotic, that "Here Kitty Kitty," is on it's on Spotify. So
is it really?
Yeah. So I made that my wife's alarm clock in the morning.
Oh, that's awesome. So I need to get
How
a
much
hold of my
is Joe
wife.
Exotic making on this?
0. He's in prison.
I know, straight up locked in.
I don't think
That
he'll
was the
make it out.
wildest show I've ever seen. It was one of those that you just kept watching and you're like, what in the holy hell is actually going on here?
Just a train wreck that never stopped wrecking.
No, you're like, oh my God, this looks like the cattle market the last few weeks. It's just like, no, it can't get any worse. Oh, it does. Ooh.
Oh man, and don't worry about spoilers. I've only gone like 3 episodes in, but like Robbie did his best my cousin Robbie did his best to spoil it for me beforehand. And so he told me a whole bunch about it. There's no way you can cram what all goes on in that show into a conversation. Like, you just have to watch it. And I can't wait to see what comes up. Like, I've just been, the last couple of days been busy, so I haven't got to follow up on it, but I can't fucking wait. Joe Exotic is that is a electric human.
Those of us who are being forced to stay indoors right now have nothing else to do, man. We finished Ozark and Tiger King in one weekend.
See, I just finished the last season of Peaky Blinders, like a year late.
Good show.
That's
a great show. I have not dipped into the new season of Ozark yet, and I'm only 3 episodes in on Tiger King, so I'm a ways behind. But that's kind of normal.
Two women I hate right now are Wendy Bird and Carol Baskin.
Yeah, Baskin.
Carol Baskin's
Baskin.
Those are some dead eyes there. Let me tell you. That is a.
They're making an actual like movie about it, right? Real like fiction actor movie.
No shit.
Yeah, Kate McKinnon, I think from Saturday Night Live. She's playing Carol Baskin.
Wow. Oh, is that the chick that played Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Tyler Childers wants to play Joe Exotic.
Oh, I heard that. That's awesome.
I hope they give it to him, honestly.
Oh,
that is it's like you couldn't have made up a character like Joe Exotic.
No, he's like a wannabe Joe Diffie, really. Like, look at him.
Yeah. You think Joe Diffie's 10-inch hog had a Prince Albert?
I had to Google what a Prince Albert was. That joke went over my head. And so I went and I Googled it. And before I hit the search button, I was like, well, this is my risky click of the day.
Well, now you need to Google Jacob's Ladder. He's gonna do it on air.
Incognito. Okay.
Don't worry. My Google search now at the very top of it is Joe Diffie big dick or Joe Diffie penis, because I had to verify this story that I heard on a podcast.
Jacob's Ladder, Urban Dictionary.
I mean, this is what we're led to. A life of lockdown. And look at this to see if Joe Diffie has a...
Look at this shit. I'm sharing. I'm sharing my screen. Because they've got this. They've got the little symbols.
Oh, that's awesome. That is clever.
Well, all right then.
Oh my god. Okay. Well,
hey, you didn't know what you were getting into, George, but
hey, I mean, it's just all learning in this life of quarantine. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Precisely.
So, and this is the reason, if you're going to sell your cattle, you really need to sell them at Loma Livestock, because this is the owner right here. He didn't know what he was getting into. He's rolling with the punches. If that's not the best sale barn owner in the country, I don't fucking know what is. So go check out Loma Livestock. You can give him a holler today, 970-858-9988. Bam.
Nice.
One thing.
Well,
if I
thanks for
cattle,
having me come on, dude. Hey, dude, I appreciate that. And I'm coming up to visit you whenever we can travel.
When we're not allowed, or when we're allowed to do something.
I think we need to plan like a Burning Daylight Boogaloo.
Let's do it, man. I want to load up a fly rod and go up into your country. Like some horses, just hit random jackpots. I always say this like gonna happen, but I think this summer might be the time.
The summer of George.
Let's just do it, you know? Whatever.
Only if you have cheese in a mini fridge on your console.
Are you gonna read a book?
I will have cheese for you guys, but I won't touch the stuff. Not even
It's
fried
the
cheese.
Summer of George.
Are you not a cheese guy?
No, not at all. You know?
How did I not know that? How are we still friends? God damn it.
Well, see, because I'll eat it on pizza.
Folks, it's been good doing business with Loma Livestock, but they are not cheese producers or cheese eaters. I'm just
with all the Holsteins Matt puts out, you can't support the cheese industry.
Oh,
Come on now.
I know.
Hey,
I know.
Hey, if you watch my highly edited roping videos, I can rope the dog fuck out of a Holstein now.
Which respect. Respect.
Hashtag respect. Hashtag much love.
Respect.
Oh man. I can't wait till we get some Mexican steers in and I can find the slowest, sickest one of them and I'll rope the dog shit out of them, but I'll make it look super cool.
Hey, we'll just edit. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff with filters.
I can do some technologies now, so we're just hold on, world.
Put that bronze filter on it and slow mo it.
You're a little more techie than you're right on, Matt.
Yeah. It's been a steep learning curve, but I'm getting there.
It's not that hard. Hey, if I could teach, if my wife can teach her grandfather to use an iPhone, then.
Oh, George, did you ever meet my dad?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you need to. I remember when he got a smartphone. Well, actually, I didn't know he had a smartphone. I just got a text from him, first time ever. And I was a little weirded out by it because up until that point, he only really used a cell phone when he was in Denver. And then I out of the blue, I got a text and I thought for sure that it was a spammer, but I looked and it was his number. Now he's got Facebook and he checks the weather on his smartphone and he's proud as punch of it too. But,
oh yeah. And that's what, like right there, all those functions are awesome of a smartphone. And then you lead to the thing that you get the market on your phone, where these guys have never had that kind of tech. Not saying your dad, but I'm just saying that goes back to the psychology point. You got your phone, you're checking the weather, you're checking the market. What is it? Oh, dumpster fire again. Yay.
Yep. And that's what gets all the attention is the dumpster fire. I mean, look at Tiger King, #1 on Netflix.
Exactly.
That was the only thing to distract America from COVID-19.
That's Joe Exotic, you the real MVP.
Yeah, respect. He's in ultimate social distancing right now. So
I talked to my dad this morning, and he was like, well, I tried to talk to him the other day, asking him if what he thought about the whole Roni virus, and he was working on a pickup, so he couldn't talk very long. And then he called me today, and he's like, "Well, you know, I've been social distancing for years. I try to drive people away from me so they don't talk to me, and and a lot of that has to do with my hygiene, which I do on purpose so people don't talk to me. And I was considered an outlaw, and now I'm a model citizen, and I don't know what the fuck to think."
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, goofy old bastard. But yeah, he that was a weird day when he sent me a text message, and now the other day he sent me a Facebook message, and now I just like boomers are everywhere. So
yeah, it took the boomers a record time of like 1 week to ruin toilet paper memes.
Yeah, they really did.
Now they're gonna ruin Tiger King memes. So,
well,
you know.
I think I can take credit for being the first guy on the Joe Diffie memes. I think I hit that early. I hit it hard, and I think the world will remember me for it or something.
Yeah, well, I'll remember you for it, Matt.
I
George,
gotta show
you
this.
gonna remember him for it?
Oh, absolutely. We'll etch it in the boards.
So George, you said
like
something.
old Gus.
You said something earlier that caught my interest. You fly fish?
Well, my brother actually does, and he tries to teach, and he's actually taught me pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
So my patience is what I learned there. He's taught me how to cast, but I really love it this is how I love to do it, like out of a drift boat in the middle, kind of with a guide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I'm
and
not
everybody
bad
else. At timing up. You know what I mean?
That's the way to
but
go.
I think that would be fun just to kind of, go up, visit you where you have all those cool rivers.
Oh yeah. You come up to Idaho, man. We'll go.
I want to.
We'll go wrangle some trout up in these parts. There's some cool freaking places over here. I was born and raised fishing Montana rivers and mountain lakes, and I thought, going to Idaho I was losing a bunch, but damn, there's some cool spots here too. So damn near unforgettable spots up here. So if you want to come up this summer, let me know.
I will, man. Thanks. I appreciate the invite because I think I want to. I think
Anytime.
we're going to head north.
We live in a one of the cooler places in Idaho too, in Coeur d'Alene, which is like a resort town. So there's a bunch of shit to do. My wife's in school here, so that's why we're here. Man, there's just tons of shit to do. And then the fishing is all around us too. There's lakes everywhere and rivers, and it's a good spot.
Dude, so what are you playing like? So do you go around and play? Well, right now you're not, but I mean,
yeah.
Normally, do you play like weekend gigs, different places?
Yeah, we play a lot in Spokane, Washington, which is right near us, about half hour away. And then we play a lot here in Coeur d'Alene and down Cheney. And we were kind of setting our sights on some back home Montana gigs because the money's a little better back in Montana. But, with this COVID thing, I think it's going to have two effects. One, everybody's sitting at home doing live streams. I mean, I just did one last night. It's going well for everybody, but they're getting anxious. So, I could see once this thing's over, it's going to be dog eat dog trying to get gigs. I think everybody's going to be booking everywhere they can and trying to make up for lost time. And venues are going to be wanting the best of the best because they don't have a budget. So, real interesting time to be a local musician or a regional musician. I think, a lot of us are trying to figure out how to make our offerings a little better for the live side of things, So.
Yeah, it's cool. It'll bring a whole new facet.
Yeah.
Because we'll realize how much we miss the live of everything. Like the feeling of Red Rocks being there, and all that stuff we're getting taken away. But then also we'll get a supplement now when we come back with all these cool deals you guys are doing live stream and everything else.
Well, and
to kind of supplement it.
And with technology has put an emphasis on the experience, right? Because you lose a lot of experience through technology. Some things that you'll never be able to replace, even with VR. Even if you go into the future and you got a VR headset, you'll never be able to replace the sound reverberating off your damn toenails,
Yeah.
In a bar. So it's all about the experience. And I think right now, I mean, I'm having a lot of, with my live streams, I had musicians reach out to me tonight. They want to participate in next week's, and I damn near got a whole band that wants to get together and do next week's. So,
hell yeah, dude.
But
hell yeah.
The irreplaceable part is that once this thing is over, we're gonna have to figure out how to get people back in bars and get bars paying musicians fairly too. I mean, it's kind of a race to the bottom with some of these venues. And
well, you know what? Yeah, the restaurant deal and bars might have been a little overpopulated, oversupplied, if you will, in that market. So, and maybe it'll help you out all the way. Like, I think these outdoor venues too, like this summer, that might be the first thing to crack, you know?
Well, talk about the festival market. I mean, that blew up. There's more every single weekend in the summer, every damn weekend, there's a festival within an hour and a half. Anywhere you go. You know?
You're right. No, you're right. You're right.
And so it's going to be real interesting what people can afford this summer and how many festivals are going to be around. I think the best of the best, there's a lot of EDM festivals, which I'm not interested in, but they're still taking up market share in that respect. And, the country music festivals are dime a dozen these days. And we live right on I-90. So we have the benefit of any given weekend in the summer, we can see a top 40 artist. So
yeah, you're right.
It's just, it's one of those where it's like saturated, like you said. It'll be interesting. So
it will be. It will be. It'll be cool to see who comes out of this. Like I said, there's gonna be some struggles.
Like what's
not
the new normal
everybody's going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, one thing for sure, if everything is, sort of halfway back to normal, because things are never going back to normal.
No,
with when you have the federal government taking this much power, the state governments, local governments declaring these.
Idaho and Texas are the only ones pushing back against their governors.
How about just about not even the political side, but the travel side? Look, since 9/11, this is going to affect. There's a new set of screenings going to go in, and I mean, this might be a little aggressive, but like our grandparents were like kind of children of the Depression, and that lived with them for their whole life. And I think, shit, man, it could be something like now that this is a lasting impression too.
Oh, I 100% think so.
Before 9/11, nobody thought that they were going to have a hand up their ass crack and getting on a plane.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember going through the Amarillo airport when I was like 14. So it was a couple years before 9/11. And I remember putting my Kershaw, like one of those spring assisted pocket knives.
Oh, yeah.
I remember putting it in the basket. And because the metal detector went off, I forgot about it. I walked through the metal detector, it went off. And so I put my knife in the basket. They put it through the x-ray. And I remember joking with the little old lady. And I said, don't worry, I hide my bombs really well.
Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me? You said that?
Yeah. And she laughed. Jesus. And we went about our day. Yeah, I would have been in jail for at least 72 hours after 9/11.
Well, and that little old lady is still thinking about that moment to this day. She's
I guarantee you.
I remember the time that one guy with the knife said he was hiding his bombs.
I know, and this was Amarillo.
Like a terrorist.
I know, it's Amarillo, Texas, so she doesn't know if I'm Arab or Mexican or both.
If you grew that beard out just a little more and put a turban on, I mean, let's talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Boogaloo.
Oh, fuck. But anyway, I was going to say, George, going back to this live deal, if we're allowed to travel by that point, I think it's the last week of January in Elko, Nevada, is the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering. We're going to do a live Burning Daylight podcast / Sam McHugh headliner. But anyway, we're going to crash that thing too. Show the Cowboy Poetry Gathering how regular old working cowhands do things. So you gotta come in and sit down for the podcast.
I think I would love something like that.
I think we make that a January Burning Daylight Boogaloo.
Fuck yeah.
I like that. I like that all the way around.
We'll all wear Hawaiian shirts.
That sounds like a good reason to bring the camper.
It's a great reason.
Head down to Elko. When my brother was working at Elko, he worked there for the mine for quite a while, and he he sent me pictures of that one joint down there that was doing like $5 prime ribs, and I was like, don't do it. I don't care how hungry you are, don't do it.
You got to go for the $10 prime ribs. That's your sweet spot.
Raise the bar.
That's your sweet spot. It's a good high select, decent flavor, price is right. There you go. Anything lower than that, you're risking some shit.
That's kind of how I consider my music,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've got Stapleton up here.
Yeah.
Joe Diffie is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah. And then like way down the line, but not at the end, you got some Sam McHugh tunes.
No, I would say you got Stapleton, you got Joe Diffie. I'd say Sam McHugh's in here, and then
Kenny Chesney.
Yeah.
And Beneath.
Yeah, I would say Kenny Chesney's probably the top tier of the dog shit out there.
Tell you what, I have never been on his website more times than I have now, because I'm waiting to see if his Bozeman show gets canceled. I want my money back. My wife is a huge fan, and we have 2 very expensive tickets to that show. She paid $125 for me to get in the beer garden, as far as I'm concerned. And I just keep waiting for that refund.
Oh yeah, and you will go full Karen on him, won't you?
Oh yeah, I want that refund. I don't want to go see Kenny. I don't want to drive 6 hours to see a washed up guy that talks about country in the Caribbean.
Yeah, but he's gonna sing like this,
I knew a guy who knew a guy. I knew a guy who knew a guy. Right? This is about the same amount of justification as Joe Diffie's hog, but he
Joe Diffie's hog needs no justification.
The guy who knew. Well, I'm just saying confirmation bias.
Fair enough.
I know a guy who knew a guy who did sound for Kenny Chesney on 2 tours, and he says Kenny can't sing. Kenny cannot sing. He is plugged into an auto-tune unit that's more expensive than your house.
I believe that. I buy that.
So, I mean, I trust the guy I was talking to, and he's not a gossiper.
Yeah.
So,
well, isn't Kenny Chesney like 3'6" or something like that? Roughly.
Boy. Yeah. Kenny Keebler.
I'd say roughly.
Keebler Chesney.
Oh fuck. Well, boys, we probably better end this live stream.
I'm
you guys
tired
stick
now.
around for a minute if you want. But anyhow, George, Sam, you both know how the sign off goes. So sign us
Sam,
off if you
take
would.
it.
Move your ass. Burn daylight.
Hell yeah. All right. Well,
thanks, guys.
Thank you guys.